how have you been? We talked a couple months ago. We were talking about your fundraising efforts for the female athletes, female wrestlers that you want to help make their path to the Olympics a little easier. Tell me how you've been, how the fundraising efforts have been going.
Well, I've been really good. I've been helping out USA Wrestling, especially the women's wrestling team. Um, they, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if I told you before, but countries like China and Russia and many other countries like that, their governments pay their Olympic athletes to train and compete full time. So their athletes don't have to get jobs. They don't have to make a living. All they have to do is train and compete, and they're taken care of. Our athletes, for the most part, they have to get jobs. We don't have that luxury here. So they have to get jobs and they have to train around their work schedule. And that doesn't fare very well for an Olympic athlete because if you're working 8 to 10 hours a day, you're only going to have enough time to train 2, 3 hours tops.
Mhm.
And these athletes need 10, 11, 12 hours of training a day. So I'm here to raise money for USA Wrestling. I know the 2024 Olympics just ended, and these athletes are already training for the 2028 Olympics. And the new athletes coming in as the 28 Olympics would be their first Olympics. They already started training too. So I'm here early on so these athletes don't have to get jobs this year or next year or the next year after that. For the next 3 years, I want them to focus solely on training and competition. So I'm here to raise money for the women's wrestling team for USA Wrestling.
KurtAngle.org, you guys can find out more about it. It links right to the donation page. You can learn more about Kurt's fundraising efforts, what some of the athletes, what they have to go through. Like as you mentioned, like they have to get jobs, they have to worry about balancing all, work and training. It could be quite difficult. So anything to make their journey easier, it's
And
I'm sure
and
well
what
appreciated.
what USA Wrestling is doing as well is giving them incentives. So uh, they're giving a stipend to the top three athletes in each weight class.
Mhm.
That's already done. That's taken care of. It's not a lot of money. It's enough for them to barely get by, but it's enough so they don't have to get a job. But the incentive is if they win the world championships, they get $50,000. It's not a lot of money, but it will help them get through the years of training up until the Olympics. So that every bit of money counts. So if you win the worlds, you get $50,000, and the worlds are every year. World championships are every year. If you take second, you get I believe it was 25,000 and third is 15,000. So they're giving them incentive by doing that. And that's why I'm also raising money. So these athletes can get paid if they win a medal at the world championships. They also win the money for the Olympics. It's not a lot, $38,000 for a gold medal, 23,000 for a silver, and 15,000 for a bronze. But it's money, and it's something that these athletes definitely could use.
Yeah. Since the last time we talked, the NCAA made, and I thought this was interesting because I know like women's wrestling's been an Olympic sport for about 20 years.
Yeah.
They just made it a championship sport in the NCAA, like in the college ranks. I couldn't really wrap my head around that because you would think they go hand in hand. Like how would you explain what the delay in making it a championship sport was? Because obviously it's popular enough to be on an Olympic level.
Well, the problem was we didn't have a lot of colleges that had women's wrestling.
Mhm.
And back 20 years ago, we didn't have a lot of women participating. So we had to kind of go in stages. The
Mhm.
Olympics were first. We had to make sure that was all a done deal. But as far as college, these colleges, women would start joining the men's wrestling teams and try to intermingle with them. And there was just no way. We didn't have enough women participating to have a NCAA championships for them.
Mhm.
Now we do. And there are a bunch of programs popping up all over the country for women's wrestling, and this has a lot to do with Title IX because Title IX is about equal sports among men and women.
Mhm.
See, back when I was wrestling, Title IX, they didn't add women's sports. They just took men's sports away so it would be equal. And now they're starting to add women's sports. So, especially wrestling. Wrestling is the greatest sport in the world. It's the hardest sport in the world. And, I would tell you this, the women are tougher than the men. So, these women are just incredible. You watch them wrestle and you're like, wow. I mean, these girls are badasses. And they dominated the Olympics this past Olympics. They won 4 medals, which is incredible. I believe the freestyle men's wrestling team won 3 medals. They did pretty well too, but the women are just they have a possible medalist in every single weight class this upcoming Olympics, and that's incredible.
And that just highlights, the growth that
Yeah.
women's wrestling's made over
It's
the
growing
past 20
fast.
years.
Yeah, yeah. Even high school, the
Mhm.
women's wrestling's starting to come, starting to tally up. So I'm really excited
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah. And I mean, even look, we talked about your daughter getting into amateur wrestling, Nicoletta.
Mhm.
Uh, she's starting to break out into it. I thought it was cool. I saw you two on I think it was Raw a couple weeks ago. What was
It
that?
was at the Royal Rumble.
Or I'm
Yeah,
sorry, the Royal
yeah,
Rumble.
yeah.
What was that like? Because you share the love of amateur wrestling and you get to work with her like that. What's it like getting to show her kind of like your other career, so to
What Daddy
speak?
used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to like kind of explain it to her because it's, pro wrestling and amateur wrestling are worlds apart.
Mhm.
The only thing identical about them is the word wrestling. So, my daughter was like, Daddy, can you actually punch someone during a wrestling match? And I said, only in pro wrestling. You can't do that in amateur wrestling. So it was a little confusing for her, but she got a taste of what I did and what I experienced in my pro wrestling career, and all my kids have. I brought each and every one of them. I usually take one at a time when I go places, so just to experience whatever we're doing together. Just
Yeah.
that one child and myself. So that was Nicoletta's turn, and we ended up going to Royal Rumble.
Yeah. I laughed because I'm thinking like, is it because you want the one-on-one time to like, you know, focus on them, or is it one-on-one time because like I know as a parent, like sometimes it's very difficult to juggle multiple kids
It
having them at
is
the same time.
difficult.
So
Yeah, yeah. I have 6 kids, so it's a lot,
yeah.
And you bring all 6, you're going to be overwhelmed.
I wanted to talk a little bit about pro wrestling that, you know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, sure.
part of the reason that you're so appreciated by fans.
A big reason. Yes, yes.
Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. I
Mhm.
always think about that match because I was so mad that you won. I was a huge Shawn Michaels fan, and
Yes.
I love the story. Like it was a great match,
Mhm.
but the story leading up to it, you sang "Sexy Kurt," you did the
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
with Sherry, and you know, Marty Jannetty was involved in the build up to that. Talk to me about like just getting a chance to work with Shawn Michaels. What is like your fondest memory about that feud going into WrestleMania 21?
Well, Sean, I will tell you this. I don't know of a person that is more talented than Shawn Michaels in a pro wrestling ring. He just has the whole ball of wax. He can cut promos incredibly well. He has an amazing look. His in-ring skills are second to none. I have a lot of respect for Sean, and it's funny because I'll tell you a funny story. Because I was an Olympic gold medalist, and I think I was a little stiff in the ring with some of the other guys. Sean walked up to me before the match and he said, "Listen, I'm not afraid of you." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I ain't afraid to fight you. I'll fight you no matter what." And I'm like, "Why are you saying this to me?" And I find out that later that Sean was afraid that I was going to take advantage of him in the ring,
Mhm.
and it wasn't going to happen. I've been always been a professional, and I'm not sure why he said that to me, but it was really funny. But Sean and I we had incredible chemistry. Um, of course, Sean has chemistry with everybody. I'm not going to lie to you, but I will say this: that match against Shawn Michaels could have very well been the greatest wrestling match of all time. That's how good it was. I'm not saying it is, but it's pretty damn close if it
Mhm.
isn't. And Sean and I, What's amazing about it is we did not practice anything before that match started. We
Mm.
didn't even lock up. We didn't even tie up. The first time I touched him was in the ring when I wrestled him at WrestleMania. All we did was discuss the match earlier in the week. We didn't get in the ring and practice. And that's something you need to do to have chemistry with someone. But we didn't do it. And you know what? It didn't matter.
Mm.
That's how good it was between the two of us. We had incredible chemistry, and the match was just off the charts.
I'm sure you get a lot of different matches when, you go and do a meet and greet or you meet a fan and they're like, oh, like your matches with like Chris Benoit or maybe this match with Shawn always come up. I think of the WrestleMania 19 match with Brock Lesnar. Is there a WrestleMania match since we're kind of on the road to WrestleMania? Is there one that you maybe want to talk about with people more that doesn't get as much attention as some of those other ones?
Um, you know what? I would say the WrestleMania 20 against Eddie Guerrero.
Mhm.
You know, that match was overshadowed by an amazing main event between Triple H, Chris Benoit, and Shawn Michaels. That triple threat was probably the best triple threat I ever saw in my life. And Eddie and I had a five-star match. We really did. But because of that match being on last and Eddie and my match being next to last, we weren't the main event, even though we were co-main event, along
Yeah.
with the other three. But that match was just wow. And I think it overshadowed our match, which was pretty incredible too. But I don't talk a lot about my match against Eddie Guerrero, and it was a great match with an incredible finish. Eddie came up with this live cheat and steal finish that was just awesome, where he pulled his boot off. And I had the ankle
Mhm.
lock on him, and he's able to slide his foot out of the boot. And I ended up holding the boot in my hand, and I charged him, and he rolled me up and pinned me 1, 2, 3 real quick.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a live steel finish, and it worked extremely well. And at the same time, it protected me
Mhm.
because I didn't lose legitimately. So that match was just an incredible match that I absolutely loved. It's in my top three, and Eddie Guerrero. Like, if there's anybody that's just every bit as good as Shawn Michaels, it's Eddie, and Eddie was really that good.
Yeah. And I that's, you remember the part where he slips off the boot, but it's kind of funny that sometimes if you forget the sequence of events, some people think that was his title win, especially
That's
because,
right. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
happened
Even though
it
he
happened
beat
the month
Brock the month
before.
before. Yeah. Yeah.
You remember the picture of like him and Chris with the titles at the end of the show, like you would
Yes.
think he won the title that night, but no, that was his first title, like his first
You're
major
absolutely
pay-per-view
right. I
defense.
totally forgot about that. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I hopefully more people will talk about it because I mean, you had an impressive WrestleMania run, and that was, you go from Brock to the Eddie match, and then I said Shawn. It kind of those two kind of bookend this one. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
all right, do you have anything else you want to plug or promote? Any appearances or maybe an update on your
Uh,
your
I
movie?
I have a protein that's out on the market right now called Kurt Angle's American Dream Cookies and Cream Protein.
Mhm.
You can go to kurtanglebrand.com, go to the link section, and tap the cookies and cream protein link, and you can purchase your protein right there. It's the best tasting protein on the market, guaranteed. As far as my movie, we're picking the cast next month. We've got the script done. We're still finding investors. It's going really well. So we're going to probably start shooting at the end of the summer.
Mhm.
This movie's only going to be about my Olympic career. There's too much content to go beyond that. So what they're thinking is doing a second movie about my WWE career.
Mhm.
That's the directors. The directors are Ian and Esham Nelms. They're incredibly talented directors. They directed movies like Fat Man starring Mel Gibson and Red Right Hand starring Orlando Bloom and many other great films. So I'm really excited to be working with these guys. And it'll be the first time I'm behind the scenes. I've never
Mhm.
been behind the camera before.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. There you go. We're gonna keep waiting to see what we can find out as the project comes together. And Like I said at the beginning, kurtangle.org, find out more about Kurt's fundraising efforts for USA Women's Wrestling, help make their road to the Olympics a little bit easier. Kurt, thanks for the time today. I really
Thank you. I
appreciate it.
really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.